Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Overcoming. I'm your host, Chuck Herrick. This week, I'd like to talk to you about what I call the 3 B's. Believe, become, and be you. Before you can do anything, you have to strip yourself down to your core. What is it that you truly want when you're free of all the fear, all the media, and what the world tells you that you need to be? When you find your honest, true voice, when you stop thinking about chasing the money and just become and be you. The first step is to believe. And that's where you've got to find your true soul, your true intention in this life. Once you find this true belief, this true intention, will you have the internal drive and the compass to know where you want to go. There is this saying that I have in my head. I believe it was attributable to Andrew Jackson. And it says, "One man with courage makes an army." I have found that in my life, when I have found my true intention, it can truly turn mountains into molehills. For example, when I wanted to go to college, here I was, 3 kids, a wife, no money, no savings. My family did not want to help. But I knew in my head, my intention was I wanted to provide for my family, to give them things I never had. So going through that, I put myself through college. 4 years, 2 degrees. It wasn't easy, and I look back and wonder how I did it. But at that point in my life, I had that true burning intention that I was going to give my family the life that I felt they deserved. And that made every obstacle move out of the way. My intention was so clear to put myself through college and provide the life for my family that I never had. It made the obstacles seem surmountable to where I could go through them. It wasn't easy, but I kept going forward. I've heard the stories of, the person who did the first 4-mile run. Everybody said he could not do it. It could not be done. It was not humanly possible. The human body could not run a mile in 4 minutes. But he kept going out there, kept working every day. And eventually he broke the 4-minute mile mark. The interesting thing is once he did it, everybody else started to see that they could do it too. And the 4-minute mile mark was just smashed. And many people have done it since then. Or another, there was a movie by Eminem, 8 Mile, where he talks about his early life, and everybody said he couldn't do it. He was the wrong color. He didn't have what it took. But he kept working, and he became one of the best rappers that the world has ever seen. So the first thing you have to do, what is it you truly, truly want to do? What is your guiding light, your North Star, your true intention of who you want to become? Once you have that belief, then you move on to the second step, and that's becoming. This is your North Star. Now, when you start this, like when I started college, I didn't really understand what that meant, but I knew I had to do it. The beginning is where you start. You're going to make mistakes as you're working on becoming, but get this belief in you that you can become that person. Live with that intention. Act like you are that person, and it will start to go. There's an author named Amy Cuddy, and she talks about the power poses, where if you just live in that life, you can go forward and do it. Like she talks about, if you're having trouble or you're nervous for an interview, go step in front of the mirror and do what she calls the Wonder Woman or Superman pose. Just hold that. Believe, live in that environment, and then you can go out and do it. Now, a lot of people say this is, fake it till you make it. And there could be some truth in that. It's like what actors do. They go inhabit this character and then become that person. Truly good actors can make you believe that they are that person. If this is what you want to do, you've got to go out and keep doing it. Keep working on it. One of the things that you'll face is what's called imposter syndrome. And that is where, I'm just not that person. But go back to your belief. What is it that you want to become? And then inhabit that. Live it. Explore that space fully and keep going forward. Don't worry about what others say. Be true to yourself and keep moving forward. Now the caveat here, what you want to be has to be true to you. It can't be harmful to somebody else. If your goal is to go out and harm somebody, that's not what this is about. You have to be true to you and go out and do this for you. If you want to be the best accountant, the best singer, keep working on your craft, keep doing it, and go out every day and believe it and keep working and working. So let's move on to the last one. Be you. This is probably the hardest part. Because as you start doing this, you're making changes. Everybody around you will see who you've been or know who you are. And as you're making these changes, it might be scary for them. They want you to go back to who you were. They'll keep telling you you can't do it. Well, some of that, I believe, is because they're afraid. They don't want to get out of their life thinking that they can make something happen. And if they see you do this, then they have to face their own reality. It's not always true, but that is a big part of what I believe people have. Even with the best of intentions, I think a lot of us, most of us, are afraid of change, of that discomfort of becoming and believing and creating this person we want to be, becoming this beautiful person that we see in our hearts, living that intention, becoming the best of ourselves, not holding back. It is so hard to do this. Dave Chappelle says the hardest thing to do is be yourself when others are around. And that is so true, because as you're moving through this, as you're moving towards your true belief and desire, and start to live and inhabit that space by becoming you, you start to change. People around you notice the change. Things start to open up for you. Live in that. But it is so hard to keep that going every day. You've got to get up and focus. Eventually, there'll be a switch that just happens, and you will become that person. But you've got to work through all that, all the imposter syndrome and the naysayers. Keep working. Keep going at it. There was a story I just heard by Jason Momoa where he was talking about his acting career, and I think this sums it all up. As he was going through, he was not making any headway in acting. And he thought, this isn't the life for me. I've got to go find something else to do, but I've got this one audition left. And he went in and he said, you know what? I'm just going to be me. And as you know, Jason Momoa, he's this big, hulking guy. But he goes, I'm sort of a funny guy. And I have a good heart, and I'm sort of playful. So he went in and was very playful on this audition. He ended up getting the role, and the rest is history. But it is something I find interesting. He went out and just became himself. He wanted to be the best actor he could be, but he kept putting on the roles what everybody else saw him as, this big he-man and the strong person who had to be, stoic and doing all this. And the minute he started to have fun and let himself come out, that's when he achieved his success. He became and let everybody else see who he was. He did the hardest thing, as Chappelle said, and he became himself when others were around. Now, if you do that, if you start to develop your belief and you start to become yourself when others are around, nothing can hold you back. So go out and do that. Sit down, take pen to paper and think. Go for a walk in nature. Figure out what you really want to become. Then start to believe in that. Start working towards it. And be you. Thank you, and I will talk to you next week.